It's a battle for first place in the Big South North Division tonight on the Big South Network presented by State Farm as the VMI Cadets come into High Point to take on the High Point University Panthers. Hey there, folks. I'm Austin Ford, along with my broadcast partner, Kevin Russell, for arguably the most important game of the year in the Big South Conference. And, Kevin, it's going to be a great one.
Austin, this has the potential to be a fantastic basketball game. If it's anything like the last time these two teams got together, this should be a really fun one. And first place is on the line.
As we take a look at the Big South standings to this point, High Point and VMI are tied right now in the North Division at 10-4. VMI 17-10 overall, High Point 14-13 overall. VMI got the win earlier this season, 82-80, Kevin, over this Panther squad.
Yeah, if you really look at this game, Austin, the winner of this game is in the driver's seat to clinch that automatic NIT berth for winning the overall conference regular season championship.
As you take a look at the South standings, there's three teams there tied at 9-5. Should one of these two teams win and then win their final regular season game, they will, as Kevin said, get the automatic NIT berth. Now, as we look at our keys for tonight's matchup, first for this VMI cadet squad, Kevin, we know they score a lot of points. What are they going to have to do tonight to get a win on the road?
Well, the first key is run, and run some more, because this is a team, like you said, that loves to score the basketball. They love to get up and down the floor in four seconds or less, really. They just love to put the ball in the basket. They don't play a ton of defense. No one's going to tell you they do, but this is a team that loves to run and loves to score a lot of points. The second key is they've got to be in better from the three-point line, Austin. For as many points as they score, this team is only seventh, I should say, in the Big South Conference in three-point field goal percentage. So if they want to beat High Point tonight, and this is an area they struggled the last time these two teams played, they really need to shoot the three ball better.
Meanwhile, for the Panthers, they come in winners of 8 of their last 10. What can they do to protect the home floor and be in that driver's seat that you talked about?
Well, because VMI likes to run, the key is going to be their transition defense. They need to make sure, I know this is hard to say to a team that's been doing so well on the offensive glass lately, they need to not necessarily crash the glass, but get back on defense and stop the fast break of VMI. The second key is they need to slow the game down offensively. So they need to not maybe run as much as they would like to, but really execute in that half-court set.
As we take a look at our players to watch for tonight's game for VMI, DJ Covington has been the all-everything forward center for this team, the senior. He was a Big South Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Yeah, he's probably the best defensive player again in the Big South Conference, but really his offensive game is taking control this year. 29 points the other night against Radford. He's a big-time scorer as well for VMI. They're really a three-headed monster, also, with Covington, Glasgow, and Peterson.
Meanwhile, for the Panthers, the second head of this battle tonight between two bigs, John Brown for the Panthers. He's going to have a huge game.
And Covington's going to have his hands full on the defensive end tonight. John Brown, arguably the most prolific offensive player in the conference, going up against, like we said, Covington is the best defensive player, so Brown's going to have his hands full. We'll see if he can get his normal numbers. I really think John Brown has to go for at least 20 points tonight in order for High Point to win.
The Cadets come in averaging nearly 90 points a game in conference play. The Panthers are the best field goal shooting team in the conference at 50%. What's going to give? We're going to find out next in this battle for first place between the VMI Cadets and the High Point Panthers. And with that, we are ready. The battle for first place in the Big South North Division is about to commence on the Big South Network presented by State Farm. Austin Ford, my broadcast partner, Kevin Russell, along with you for tonight's matchup between the VMI Cadets and the High Point Panthers. Starting lineups first for the Cadets. A three-guard lineup with number 1, Rodney Glasgow, number 3, Brian Brown, and number 22, QJ Peterson anchoring the backcourt, with number 32, Philip Anglade, and 24, DJ Covington in the post. For the Panthers, they also come with a three-guard lineup. Number 12, Jorge Perez Laham, number 24, Anthony Lindauer, and number 23, Devontae Wallace make up a hot shooting backcourt, with number 15, Lorenzo Cugini, and Agent Zero, John Brown, in the middle, anchoring this Panthers front court.
And the matchup to really watch tonight is the matchup we highlighted in our key players. Austin, Covington and Brown in the post should be a fun one down low.
VMI comes in 17-10 overall, 10-4 in the Big South Conference North Division. High Point 14-13 overall. They are also 10-4 in the Big South North Division.
And like
it's the Cadets and the Panthers in the jump circle. The Cadets will start out with possession.
High Point comes out right away in a man-to-man defense. Brown on Covington.
Peterson dribbling into the paint. See, the Panthers are switching, Kevin, on nearly every ball screen.
Yes, absolutely, and I think that's a smart move because you don't want to give open shots. And really, VMI isn't a team that shoots the ball all that well. Although Covington almost came away with another possession for VMI. Brown stripped it away.
Wallace got the initial takeaway and allowed Brown to corral possession.
And you see High Point not trying to go too fast in their offense, trying to really use the offensive set as Wallace goes right to the bucket.
A good start for the Panthers. Devontae Wallace is on the board, and the Panthers on top, 2-0.
That's a good execution right there in the half-court set. We know this VMI team really doesn't like to defend a whole lot. So they can get some buckets in the half-court. That would be huge for High Point.
Peterson misfires straight away. Rebound to Anthony Lindauer. So the Cadets start 0 of 2 from distance, and you mentioned, Kevin, this is a poor three-point shooting team in terms of field goal percentage.
And it's kind of surprising because they score so many points. You'd think they'd shoot it a lot better than they do. Averaging just under 90 points on the season.
Laham out top, being covered intently by QJ Peterson. Shot clock to 5. Brown. Nothing but the bottom of the net. Panthers on top, 4-0.
And that really slows down what VMI likes to do on offense. They had to take it out from under the own basket, and they don't like executing in the half-court set, Austin.
Another takeaway for High Point, this time Wallace with the steal.
You want to talk about a slow start out of the gate. You have 2 kind of forced threes from VMI, a couple turnovers. Not a good start if you're a Keydep fan.
Lindauer into the paint. 6-0 High Point.
And exactly the start you're looking for if you're a High Point fan.
Panthers a perfect 3 of 3 from the field. Glasgow. Covington wasn't paying attention.
And see, this is where it's okay to run is
Brown finishes.
and that's exactly the place where you want to run. When you have numbers, you don't want to force it when you don't, but when you have 2-on-1 and Brown running the break, that's when you want to push. 8-0 High Point.
Not the start Coach Duggar Balcom wanted. Covington. The Keydets are on the board.
They needed that bucket in a big way, Austin. Huge bucket from your big man down low, DJ Covington.
Full court pressure being shown now by VMI. Coach Balcom in his 9th year with the program, 135 and 137 in his career. Scott Cherry, his 5th year at the helm of the Panthers.
But even that last possession, Covington got 2, but it wasn't an easy 2, Austin. The High Point defense has been superb.
Wallace from distance.
You think High Point's out for some revenge from that last 2-point defeat on VMI's home floor? Austin, great start if you're a Panthers fan.
Covington drives baseline. Offensive foul. Coach Balcom irate on the VMI sideline. His Cadets down 11-2 on the road in a first-place battle.
And Austin, I don't know if we're going to get a replay of that or not. Well, hopefully we can, but that looked to be a flop by John Brown. Here it comes up on your screen. Let's see. I don't know. That was a lot of movement by Brown and a pretty good acting job. But he's mastered that all season, really.
Panthers have not missed a shot yet from the field. And the curse of the commentator is Wallace misses Covington boards.
Probably the easiest look he's had all night, too. Right at the rim, nobody there. Covington kind of backed off.
Call a foul inside as Peterson was going to the bucket. It'll be on Perez Laham. It's his first, team's first. That sends QJ Peterson to the line. A 6-foot freshman from Hedgesville, West Virginia, leads the Big South Conference in scoring at 20 points a game. He's 4th in conference play in scoring at 20.6 points a night.
Yeah, he's going to be a dynamic scorer, and it's going to be fun to watch him, John Brown, and a couple of the other young guys in this conference really mature over the next couple of years.
Peterson, a 77% shooter from the line in conference, but misses on the first. Able to convert the second. He's got his first point of the night, and again, the full court pressure from the Cadets.
And I like this if I'm a VMI fan because you've got to get High Point off their game. They're proving to you they can score in the half-court set.
Number 40, Jordan Wheathy is checked in for Philip Anglade, checked in at the last timeout.
And something to watch, Austin. We talked about how Wallace had a pretty easy look on that last possession. Covington's playing with 1 foul. He really can't afford to pick up a second, and you see it there again.
Wallace has got 7 to lead all scorers. He's outscoring the Keydets by 4 all by himself. Covington cleans up the Glasgow miss.
And that's because 2 guys came down on Glasgow. No one boxed out Covington. Pretty easy putback for the big man.
Covington with 4 of the 5 Keydet points. Meanwhile, High Point shooting 86% here in the early going, Kevin.
Yeah, they've done a great job of executing. You can tell VMI just isn't a great defensive team. Everything that High Point's wanted so far has been there.
They give up the most points per game at 83 a night in conference play. Glasgow picks up the first, and it takes us to our first media timeout. The Panthers, a blistering start on top, 13-5 here in this battle for first place. High Point on top, 13-5 here on the Big South Network, presented by State Farm. Already 4 VMI turnovers, Kevin, have turned into 6 points for the Panthers.
Yeah, and really that's been the difference. 4 turnovers. They didn't hit on those couple of forced threes they put up. High Point doing a good job limiting VMI's possessions as well. Only 5 shots. Austin, this is a team that really wants to put up a ton of shots, and right now they only have 5 to High Point 7.
Panthers being led offensively by Devontae Wallace's 7 points. He also has 2 assists as John Brown has 4 points. DJ Covington with 4 of the VMI's 5 points, but he also has 3 of their turnovers, Kevin.
Yeah, he does, and I wouldn't put all those on DJ Covington. A couple of them were poor entry passes that Covington handled for a second and then got rid of and lost possession, but really don't put all those on DJ Covington. And obviously he has his hands full on the defensive end with John Brown. So he's going to be playing a full 40 minutes of basketball tonight.
Wallace goes around the Brown screen. Brown misses the up and under. Rebound by Covington.
Really good look, though, by Wallace. Brown's just got to finish that one. Uncharacteristic miss by the big man.
The Panthers doing a good job getting back on the defensive side. Covington off the mark. Rebound to Wallace.
Kind of traded easy misses right there. Covington got a good look from about 4 or 5 feet out, and Brown missed one earlier from about the same distance.
The last time VMI came into the Mills Center was last year, January the 23rd, and they were getting shellacked, a 96-69 loss a year ago to this Panther squad in the Mills Center. Wallace, aggressive on the early going, 9 points.
Glasgow,
the junior from Baltimore.
Glasgow just has no defense for him. Wallace is really much bigger, seems to be much more athletic, although I guess Glasgow might be a little quicker, but Wallace just taking it to Glasgow right now.
Cadets giving a heavy dose of DJ Covington. Peterson didn't want to release the triple, but Wheaty will. Peterson may have been over the back. Glasgow. Wheaty on the offensive glass.
No one boxing out for the Panthers. That was a pathetic effort, really, because they had a couple chances to really not give VMI another chance at a possession.
15-7, 14 minutes to go.
And that was something we talked about with Coach Jerry. The reason they feel like they lost the last game was because of their rebounding.
Lindauer off the mark, rebound to Wheaty. The Cadets will push. Peterson. 2 points the other way.
Nice little response right here from the Cadets, getting right back in this game, only trailed by 6. They needed a little bit of a run.
Lahan being pressured out top by Peterson. It gets all the way in.
And where is the help side defense for VMI? I mean, I know it's man-to-man defense. You're fronting your guy, you're face guarding him, but where's the help defense? That was just way too easy.
It looks like Peterson thought he had somebody down there on the block to help.
And that's what I'm saying. I think there's a lot of miscommunication going on right now between VMI on the defensive end.
Jorge Perez Laham, the freshman guard from Canavanas, Puerto Rico, comes in averaging 5 points a game and 4.5 assists per game in conference play. 5th in the Big South Conference in that regard. Multiple substitutions all the way around. Darrell Edwards, Tariq Thompson, and Cliff Cornish come in for the Panthers. Meanwhile, for the Cadets, number 15, Trey Chapman sees his first action, and Angladish come back into the ballgame.
And you'll probably see whenever John Brown goes off the floor, you'll probably see Covington leave as well. That's going to be a chess match we're going to have to watch between Coach Duggar Balcom and Coach Scott Cherry.
Hasheen McIntyre in. Now, Kevin, the Panthers have their best defensive backcourt on the floor with number 3, senior Darrell Edwards, and sophomore point guard Hasheen McIntyre.
Yeah, with the way they played early on, the starters that is, I think this team could really, really use the defensive effort right now from these guys.
Wheaty goes baseline. Gets fouled hard by Cornish after Wheaty had beaten Thompson to the basket.
Again, Cornish just a little late on the help side defense for Thompson.
That puts High Point native Wheatley, Jordan Wheatley, to the foul line. The redshirt sophomore right out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Actually attended High Point Christian, about a hop, skip, and a jump away from High Point University. Comes in averaging 7 points a game, 4.5 rebounds per contest.
Yeah, really the fourth scorer for this VMI team. You've obviously got Glasgow, Peterson, and Covington. Then Wheatley is right there as another guy who can really put the ball in the basket.
Able to complete the 2 free throws. Brings the deficit to 6. And nearly a turnover by Thompson.
And this is where it's dangerous for Scott Cherry, because you've got a couple freshmen and sophomores on the floor, and McIntyre, Thompson, and Cornish. They really need to do a good job of breaking this press. Something they might not have seen before, because Thompson didn't play the last time against VMI. And really neither did McIntyre.
Ball safely into Edwards, and here comes the press. Cornish has got about 4 inches of height on the inside on Anglade. McIntyre. Thompson, the offensive glass. Stripped. Cornish finishes.
Way to fight inside by Cornish, by Thompson. Good offensive possession for High Point. Maybe didn't convert the first attempt from McIntyre, but they kept battling. Good to see that.
Glasgow to Wheatley.
Thompson's got to stay on his feet.
Wheatley with the acrobatic miss. Thompson on the board.
And Wheatley should have just gone right to the bucket. I don't know what he was trying to do there, but really poor decision by Jordan Wheatley. Could have gone right up to the rim.
DJ Covington will check in at the next stoppage of play. And a turnover.
And Wall is really not happy with Thompson.
Anthony Lindauer and Tariq Thompson, Devontae Wallace will check out. Lindauer and Cugini will come back. And we see DJ Covington has returned for Anglade. So both coaches, Kevin, going to their bench. So you have to say High Point easily the much deeper team of the two.
Well, and you have to against a team like VMI when you're running up and down the floor, when you're not used to it. Your bodies aren't used to as many going up and down as much as this. So you'd have to give guys a little bit more rest than you normally would.
Chapman goes baseline and scores.
Cornish may have gotten away with a little bit of contact again. That would have been huge, because that would have been 2 on Cliff Cornish.
So VMI, Kevin, finding success going baseline against this Panthers man-to-man.
Yeah, well, I think you're seeing it because the starters aren't on the floor. Guys who aren't normally used to playing defense as hard as the starters.
Lindauer. McIntyre with a J. McIntyre showing off the growth of his game. He's got 2.
Yeah, that is something we would never have seen last year from McIntyre.
And a foul inside will go against Cornish. Quickly 2 fouls on Cliff. We'll go to the break. Machine McIntyre helping his Panthers team be on top by 8. First place is on the line in the Big South Conference North Division as the VMI Cadets trail the High Point Panthers 21-13. High Point shooting 64% from the floor. However, the Cadets, Kevin, already with 4 offensive rebounds, had 17 offensive boards last time these two teams played.
And that's how they've gotten a lot of their points. They have 4 points off of second chance opportunities. High Point needs to do a better job of boxing out.
Covington can't score over Cugini, who gets the board.
Yeah, really nice job there of getting himself in between Covington and the rim, and that was an easy board for Cugini.
Edwards can't finish the other way. Brown was there for a moment, but Covington comes away with it.
And the problem is that miss of a rebound allowed VMI to run, but it's going to pay off for High Point.
McIntyre, the transition bucket. He's got 4. The lead is back to 10. They're going to say the shot clock started early. Our officials tonight, Mark Schnoor, J.W. Lucas, and Mike Maloney.
And that's a break for High Point because VMI likes to run, so by making them take it out on the side, that makes them play from the half-court set.
Number 23, Tim Marshall, sees his first action replacing Glasgow. Peterson out top. Good defense by McIntyre. Peterson there for the second chance. And Anglade comes away with it. Peterson. Corner triple off the mark. McIntyre with the ball. Lindauer. 2 points.
Good seal in the paint by John Brown as well. He made sure no one could come over and block the shot of Lindauer.
12 points, the largest lead of the night.
Big shot from Marshall.
Corner triple there from Tim Marshall. The guy that only averages 2.3 points a game in conference play.
They really needed that bucket, Austin. I mean, they're just getting flat out outplayed right now. Their three-point shooting has been terrible to start. They needed that bucket from Marshall.
Edwards. Shot off the mark. Covington with the rebound.
And you can really see DJ Covington just not able to play the normal type of defense he likes to play, where he's blocking a ton of shots because he's got one foul.
But he just picked up his second. They're going to call an illegal screen on Covington. So a huge change of momentum as you see the Lindauer take there on your screen.
Yeah, and again, that's a huge loss for VMI because, like we said, he is arguably their best defensive player on a team that really doesn't like to play a lot of defense.
Perez Laham comes back, as does Devontae Wallace. So good minutes there from Darrell Edwards and Hasheen McIntyre.
McIntyre really coming off the bench strong.
Wallace being covered by Chapman. Inside it goes to Brown. Spins on Anglade and scores.
Just too easy. I mean, that's not maybe a shot JV puts up if he's going against Covington, but he definitely will put it up right there against Anglade.
Weethy thought about the distance shot. Peterson the step back. Draws nothing, and he'll hear it from the Millis Center faithful.
VMI shooting really poor from the field right now as you see JB with the easy hook with the left hand.
Glasgow will return. He replaces Peterson. Right now, Duggar Balkum can't quite find a lineup that he likes, Kevin.
Well, yeah, because everyone seems to be off from the field. He's missing his best defensive player now, probably for the rest of the half, in DJ Covington.
VMI was in a similar situation about a month ago when these two teams played. Covington picked up 2 fouls in the first half, but the Panthers weren't able to get him to pick up a third. Wallace. Separation and the triple's off. Anglade with the board.
And I think Coach Cherry wanted him to move the basketball there. No need to force up a three with a hand in your face.
He's covering Glasgow. Marshall. And the rebound by Covington, by Cugini.
Again, great job by everyone boxing out. Obviously, no one went to the ball right away, but they had their guys sealed off so no one could get the loose ball. That's good rebounding and good technique right there from High Point.
The Panthers jumped out to a 8-0 lead. They led by as much as 13-5 at one point. As that triple off the mark by Laham, also led by 12 at 25-13.
And I think Coach Cherry senses his team might be settling for too many jump shots right now.
Weethy off the mark. Knocked out of play. The possession goes to High Point. Coach Balkum goes even deeper into the bench. Brings on number 25, Craig Hinton. Brian Brown also comes back on the floor.
VMI just really trying to get anything they can to get going on the offensive end. Not a team that usually struggles to score, but they really are tonight.
27-16, the Panthers on top. Rodney Glasgow is 0 of 3 from the floor. QJ Peterson is 1 of 5, Kevin. And Covington, the saving grace, he's 2 of 4 from the field.
And
for
he's
Coach
not going to
Balkum.
see any more action the rest of the half because he's got 2 fouls.
Lindauer, straight away. Toilet bowls it, rebound Anglade.
This league could be even a lot bigger because High Point's missed 3 pretty open three-pointers the last couple of possessions.
Brown. They're going to call the foul before that on Lindauer with the hand check. Takes us to the under 8 media timeout. High Point has grown the lead to 11. 27-16 here on the Big South Network. 27-16, High Point on top of the VMI Cadets here on the Big South Network, presented by State Farm. A game with a lot of implications for conference tournament time. Whichever team wins this game will guarantee themselves a bye into the Big South Conference tournament next week. Also, the winner of this game will be in the driver's seat for that number 1 overall seed in that automatic NIT berth.
Yeah, VMI is all but locked up that bye because they do hold the tiebreaker over Radford. But High Point, you're right. They need to win at least one of these last 2 in order to lock that up. In a good position right now, up by 11. See if they can continue this strong play. Really, though, I think it's been more VMI's just been absolutely putrid shooting the ball tonight.
Cadets are shooting 31.6% from the field. including 1 of 8 from behind the arc.
And the 1 of 8 from behind the arc isn't all that surprising. Like we said, this isn't a great shooting basketball team, but the fact that High Point has 3 more shots than them, that is a surprising number. Usually this team kills teams because they get a ton more shots.
Interesting, DJ Covington has come back into the ball game, so Coach Balkum has seen enough of his offense working without his star center.
And that's kind of a shame for High Point because they didn't really take advantage of him being out of the game, although maybe they can have him pick up a 3rd foul.
Covington met there by Brown and Cugini, but Lindauer knocks the ball out of play. 12 seconds on the shot clock.
Lindauer's got to grab that. That was a good defensive possession by Cugini and Brown on the help defense. They forced up a bad shot. They just couldn't come away with the rebound.
Covington now 2 of 5 from the field. And he catches out top with 10 on the shot clock.
Perez Laham almost got caught napping.
Covington the offensive rebound and the score.
And that's why you put him back in the game, because he's the guy who can really crash the offensive glass and give you those putback points.
The 6th offensive rebound for the Cadets. They now have a 14-10 rebound advantage on High Point. Turnover. And second turnover for the Panthers.
I was going to say just the 2nd turnover of the game, but you really can't afford live ball turnovers against this Cadets team.
But a turnover by the Cadets. Now High Point in transition. They get it to Brown on Covington. Fall away off the glass, John Brown with 8.
And I don't know what, if I'm Coach Balkum, I don't know if I leave Covington in because he really just isn't giving you anything defensively. You see him just have to back off of John Brown. John Brown's going to have a field day against Covington right now.
29-18 leads to 11.
I think you put some guys in there with 0 fouls and you tell him put Brown on the line. I mean, he's 10 of 21 over his last 3 games from the foul line.
Wallace with the block from behind. Last touch by Covington. Take a look at that last John Brown score.
And just look, the defensive intensity just is nowhere near where it usually is for DJ Covington. And that's because he's playing with 2 fouls.
Chapman replaces Hinton for Coach Balkum.
And that's so tough to tell a kid that you have to go in there and play defense like that when he's so used to really blocking away a ton of shots.
Covington had 4 fouls the last time these 2 teams played. Only played 28 minutes, in the previous game. Brown. All the way across to Lindauer.
Did Brown not want to shoot the 10-foot jump shot?
Offensive foul on Devontae Wallace.
I don't know why Brown didn't put up the 10-foot jump shot from the near corner.
I think Coach Sherry is wondering the same thing.
I think that caught Lindauer by surprise, and Lindauer caught Wallace by surprise. Very surprising to see John Brown afraid to take that 10-foot jump shot.
This is a VMI team that comes in averaging 90 points a game in conference play, and they only have 18 with 5.5 minutes to go. Covington with another bucket.
Second chance opportunities are really what is keeping VMI in this basketball game. To be honest, if I was just watching this half and not looking at the score, I'd say High Point could be up by about 20 right now. Yet the lead's only 9, and VMI is right there in this game because you know they can score points in bunches. I mean, VMI really can't play a worse half offensively than they're playing right now, and yet High Point's only up by 9.
Brown gets it to Perez Laham, and the offense will reset with 8 to go. Shot clock to 5. Lindauer's got to go. Contested fall away triple off the mark. Covington another rebound.
Coach Cherry really didn't like that last possession.
Brown. They're going to say he stepped on the inline. Turnover again for the Cadets. They're going to bring the Panthers will McIntyre and Edwards. So the backcourt shift.
And I actually like this move. I think McIntyre's a guy who's really not afraid to go to the basket. Laham's going to get you his assist numbers, but he sometimes shies away from going strong to the hole. Right now, with the way VMI is playing defense inside, I want McIntyre to go to the bucket. Dangerous
near
pass.
Turnover there, and another near turnover to 3-on-1. Wallace blocked by Covington, but they're going to say he picked up the foul, and that's his 3rd.
And that was the risk Coach Balkum was taking by putting him in with 2 fouls. Now it's going to be very interesting to see when Covington gets back in this ballgame. I don't like the move from the beginning by Coach Balkum, but now it really didn't pay off.
Vontae Wallace steps to the line. He's got 9 points. The Baltimore, Maryland native enjoying a career year, averaging 12 points a game, shooting 50% from the three-point line on the whole season. Even better in conference play, Kevin, 60% from the three-point line.
Yeah, he's just
Not
been
to
on
mention
a
he's
tear.
a 90% foul shooter.
He's been on a tear shooting the basketball. Although you jinxed him right there.
Curse of the commentator once more. He's, however, the first player in double figures with 10. Shot well off the mark from Peterson. Possession to High Point.
Again, a poor job of boxing out on the long rebound. You got to realize when a guy puts up a shot from 3, the rebound is going to be longer because there's more force when that ball hits the rim. High Point's not recognizing that right now. They're doing a good job inside on the glass, but they're not doing a good job corralling those long rebounds.
Panthers break the press and will settle into the half-court set. We talked to Coach Cherry earlier in the week, Kevin, and he said that the Panthers were going to have to do a good job in these half-court situations.
And they've done that tonight. They've done a very good job of that tonight.
Pass with a bit too much mustard on it from Cugini will take us to the under 4 timeout. High Point, though, still double-digit lead, up 30-20. 30-20, High Point on top of the VMI Cadets. High Point with 13 points off 8 VMI turnovers. Meanwhile, the Cadets 8-2 in second chance points. They've got 8 offensive rebounds. Peterson into the front court being covered by Hasheen McIntyre. They're going to call a foul on Darrell Edwards, his first, team 6th.
We apologize for the technical difficulties on your screen right there. Good job by our crew getting that all fixed out.
.330 on the game clock. VMI is trailed by as much as 12 in this first half. They've really not been able to get closer than 6 points. Marshall off, Wallace the board.
And a good job staying with the play and corralling that rebound by Wallace. He got beat on the dribble drive, forced up a shot, got in a good defensive rebounding position and got the board and killed the possession for the Keydets.
John Brown there on your screen. He needed 12 points coming into the day to be the first Big South sophomore to ever hit 1,000 points by his sophomore season. He's got 8 tonight. He's working on Watson. Shot off the mark. Number 34, Jared Watson, seeing his first playing time as Covington's got 3 personals. Shot off, rebound though, good by Marshall. 10 second chance points now for the Cadets.
Yeah, that's the only reason they're in this game, because their shooting numbers on that, I bet you if you look at the shooting numbers on their first shot of each possession, it's woeful right now. They can't seem to buy a bucket other than those easy putbacks they're getting on the offensive glass.
Ball goes inside to Brown, spins on Watson, and foul. John Brown will step to the foul line. Kevin, on the season, John shooting 74.5% from the line. Had a 14 for 14 game against Radford from the foul line. Since that game, in the last 3, he's shooting 10 of 21 from the stripe.
Funny how the game of basketball works. Sometimes you can be really hot from the free throw line, and other times you can be really cold. John Brown just in one of those streaks right now, although he hits the first.
Glasgow replaces Brown. Lindauer will come in to give Devontae Wallace a breather for the last 2:20. The starters logging a lot of minutes tonight, Kevin, for this Panthers team.
And they have to. It's a first-place game, but they're doing a good job of getting them breaks. I'm actually kind of surprised that Coach Cherry maybe doesn't give Brown a little bit of a rest here, because you're up by 10. Covington's not in the game. I think I would have sat him for a couple more minutes here in the first half.
Peterson tries to throw it down and misfires.
Good job altering the shot, or the dunk attempt, I should say, by John Brown.
Marshall got pushed to the side by Lindauer. The second on Lindauer, the 7th on the Panthers. We take a look at Peterson trying to go for the Yale.
Yeah, it would have been a pretty sick throwdown if he was able to complete it. Unfortunately, just a little change of direction forced by John Brown.
Brings Tim Marshall to the line, a sophomore from Virginia Beach, Virginia. He's only taken 9 free throw attempts in conference play. But an unknown player, Marshall's got 6 points now for the Cadets.
Well, he's had to be big, and I mean, that's the only reason they're in this right now. They're getting a little bit of contribution from some unsung guys that really don't usually fill up the stat sheet.
Marshall only played 2 minutes total the last time these two teams locked.
That was almost a terrible job of boxing out by the Panthers. Thankfully, John Brown did a good job boxing out the shooter.
You got to think the ball is going to continue to go into John Brown as long as Covington's not on the floor.
And rightfully it should. John Brown should be able to handle anyone he's going up against.
Wallace. Brown could not get the second effort to go, and the rebound by Chapman.
This would be a huge couple minutes for VMI. If they can hit a 3 here. Oh, that one was off the mark.
Cugini wrestles away the board, and a foul.
And that's just not smart 90 feet away from the basket. You had an opportunity to cut the game down to a 6-point lead. If you could have hit that 3, if you're Marshall, you missed, then you commit the foul 90 feet away. Now High Point can go back up by double digits.
Foul on Chapman is his first, the team's 7th, and it puts Lorenzo Cugini on the line. And Cugini, Kevin, the sophomore from Stowe, Ohio, sometimes is the forgotten starter on this team, but a guy that really, when he's playing well, this Panthers team tends to play well.
Yeah, he's a guy who can give you 15 points a night if he's playing well. The key is sometimes consistency from Lorenzo, but I think this season he's really started to come into his own. Obviously tonight a slow start offensively, but good to see him get into the score column with that foul shot.
Comes in averaging 8 points a game in conference play. With only 1 of 2 from the line. Panthers leaving some valuable points there on the stripe. Weethy hit the side of the backboard, and Brown comes away with it. 2-on-1. And beautiful big-to-big passing allows Cugini to lay it in.
And we haven't really talked about this game, John Brown's passing and his assist numbers. John Brown is turning into one of the best passers for a big man, maybe in all of college basketball. I mean, he had 6 assists a couple games ago. He can really dish the rock.
Glasgow. Smooth move to get his first points of the night.
And that was good defense by the Panthers. Cugini came over, rotated. That was just a strong offensive play by Glasgow.
35-25. 40 seconds to go, and Coach Cherry will use a timeout. 37.8 seconds on the game clock, 27 seconds on the shot clock, and look at the big-to-big passing.
Just beautiful execution, 2-on-1 fast break. And John Brown, you know, sometimes you're like, why does John Brown give it up when he could put down a SportsCenter top 10 play highlight? John's not a guy that wants the individual accolades. John would much rather win a championship and get points on the board than throw down a major dunk.
Both teams with 17 fouls. The Panthers with 4 timeouts remaining. The Keydets with 5. High Point jumped out to a 13-5 advantage. They led by as much as 12. The most recent time being the 107 mark when they were up 35-23. VMI has struggled from the floor in this first half, Kevin, but they've been able to keep it within striking distance because of their ability to get second chance points.
Yeah, that's really what's been keeping them in. I think they have 10 second chance points, Austin. So almost half of their points tonight have come because High Point hasn't done a good job of either boxing out or giving up a second opportunity. Surprised High Point didn't go 2 for 1. But I guess they're content to try and get a really good last possession and try and stop VMI defensively.
The Keydets have dropped into a zone of sorts. Shot clock to 10. Brown. 2 points fall away, 12 points for John Brown. Now has 1,000 career points. The first Big South sophomore ever to do that. Blocked by Wallace. Ahead to Laham. Lays it up and in. The Panthers will lead by 14 going into the halftime break.
And Austin, that's a huge turn of events. VMI had a chance with 1.5 minutes to go to cut it to 6 on a 3 by Marshall. High Point, though, closes the half strong, and they lead by 14 going into halftime. Terrible end of the half by VMI.
39-25, the Panthers are